Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the new episode, and we hope that you are doing okay. It's been quite a long week of football, in the Premier League, especially in the past weekend and also during the week. Uh, Disappointment for some fans, especially Chelsea and Manchester United fans, who have been described as the evil twins, Michael Carrick and Liam Rosinia, and they have the same number of games won in Premier League and also draws. Arsenal won. Man City also won. For Manchester United fans, it was tense because it looked like they were going to drop points against West Ham. Chelsea could have grabbed the win at the very end. Only that Cole Palmer became a defender, defending for the opponent. But yeah, that was the weekend. And just yesterday there was breaking news, and it is the manager merry-go-round again. Nottingham Forest, which are by a very, very interesting club. We're going to go into the details a little bit more, right? They sacked their coach, Sean Dyche, after a couple of games. Um, Disappointing results they racked up there. And just to stretch it a little bit more on Nottingham Forest before you guys come in. At some point, they had Nuno Espirito Santo, and for some reason, I mean, very obvious reasons, the relationship between this guy and the owner of the club, Evangelos Marinakas, there was a relationship breakdown there. And this manager sacrificed the good of the club on the table of relationships, sacked Nuno Espirito Santo, brought in Ange Postecoglou, sacked Postecoglou, brought in Shandash, sacked Shandash also just yesterday, February the 12th. It begs the question, where are this club going? There's also Tottenham, who has been in a lot of turbulence. Also during the same week, sacked Thomas Frank. What exactly is going on with what is going on in the Premier League? Just this year alone, Chelsea sacked Maresca, Manchester United sacked Amorim, and this week there have been two more sacks. Brown, what is going on in the Premier League with managers?
Interesting to say the least, with the whole manager shuffling here and there. And again, the idea of Marinaki sacking Shondash, to me, it came as a surprise because Shondash is known as the manager in the Premier League that brings teams out of relegation. When teams are struggling and battling to and stay up in the Premier League and not go down, he is the guy. He is the go-to guy. Now for Marina to have taken this decision after their draw yesterday against Wolves, the bottom place team on the table, and you could see from his countenance, even when that match was ongoing, how frustrated he was. And then Forest sits just 3 points above West Ham, the team who his previous manager currently manages, Nuno Espirito Santo. And then when you look at Sean Dyche, his record at Nottingham Forest, he has had 10 wins. He has had 2 wins in 10 games, and then he's been exited from the FA Cup from Wrexham, a team that got promoted to the championship and all that. Of course, is it the best of records? Absolutely not. But personally, I felt that Shondai should have been given the time at least till the end of the season. And who knows? He knows how to come out of this kind of situation when it comes to battling, relegation. But I personally also believe that Marinakis is paying for his sins because Nuno Espirito Santo took Nottingham Forest whilst he was there to positions that they never dreamt of. They never dreamt of being in such a. In fact, they were in the top four to the second half of the season, and that was nothing. Not even Marinakis himself saw coming, and haven't done such a beautiful job with the team, and then eventually securing an European spot. Because if you remember, he qualified them narrowly because he could not, stay up for the Champions League positions. He qualified them for Europa League, which, in my opinion, is also a huge tournament, especially for a team like Nottingham Forest. And then for you to have relieved such a brilliant manager because of ego. Oh, you cannot talk to me like that. Therefore, you are leaving. You have to pay for your sins. And that's exactly what is happening to Nottingham Forest. And news breaking out is that the former Wolves manager Vitor Pereira would most likely take over Nottingham Forest for the rest of the season. Honestly speaking, if Nottingham Forest stays up in the Premier League for this entire season, they are lucky. They are just lucky. And then this guy, if I were to be a manager and then you ask me if I am offered this job by Marinakis, if I will go close to that job, if I will take that job, my absolute answer would be no. Because when you have an owner like this that does not allow you do you because of his ego or whatever it is that is clouding his mind, you know, biting because his club being taken to where he was at the time that Nuno was there, and him beginning to feel like, oh, now we can battle for the Premier League title with the big boys. That is delusion. So if this job is offered to personally myself, say as a manager, if I'm a manager and then this job is offered to me, I'll run. I will run
Mm.
far, far away from this type of ownership. An owner that does not allow you as a manager do your bit. It does not allow you the freedom to even do what you are brought in to do. And just before you know it, you get sacked. I mean, Andrew Postecoglou, perhaps he was given the job because Marinakis was his guy, you know, fellow Greek and all that type of thing. He lasted only 39 days. Only
Yes.
39 days. Zero wins. And imagine sacking a coach who had qualified you for Europe in Espirito Santo to go down to that level. In fact, they have not suffered enough. They have not suffered enough for this their sin. And trust me, if unfortunately they are unable to stay up in the Premier League, poachers are going to come and poach all their best players. You see the likes of Anderson leaving the club because people will always come for them. So Marinakis needs a rejig, and this punishment, in my opinion, is well served, and it should continue. It should continue.
Sure, this Nottingham Forest has sacked three managers in one season. No, no,
I think
left.
they've broken the record. I think they are the
Mhm.
first team to have four managers in the Premier League season, if I saw that record correctly. But to be honest, I wish the United owners or the United managers can be as passionate as the owner of Nottingham Forest. I mean, no disrespect to Nuno, he did a wonderful job with Nottingham Forest, getting them European football. But at times you see this happen, right? That it happened with even the best of the best managers. It happened with even Jose Mourinho, who is my favorite manager in Real Madrid, where he won them La Liga, and he won them Copa del Rey, and then the third season things was just not working. So it happens like that. And when we talk about Nuno, it's not as though Nuno has done so wonderfully with this West Ham. West Ham, they are equally also in relegation battle
But he
as
didn't
well.
start with the team. Just put that in context.
They were already in a mess before he came.
Yeah,
So
they were already in a mess yet, but then regardless, it's not like he's doing a one miracle. No, it's not like he's performing one miracle with that West Ham team as well. So I would just say that I wish that owners can, Tottenham, for an example, they should have sacked Thomas Frank a long time ago. When you started seeing like the handwriting on the same way, United should have sacked Amorim since last season. Because it's not going to, it's like they say, like the Sunday that will be good is like from Saturday that you already know it. There are just some times that you can feel this thing. You can feel it. Like people have been saying it's sack this manager, but like most fans, there's always like this divided. There are people that want to back the manager. There are people that want to back the manager, and there are people that don't want to back the manager. That just can't see the vision. So, in my opinion, I hope Nottingham Forest stays on. I hope the new coach. I hope he does a good job. I mean, look at Chelsea for crying out loud. Look at Liam Rosenell. You can't. I mean, that's what you should get from a manager. Regardless, you should get like something. You get something from a manager. If a new manager comes in, right, you should get something. Like you should get that. It's like it's a natural law. Everybody wants to play for him. Everybody, so you should get that result. But when you're not seeing that result, I think it's a big, big, big red flag.
But I
So
mean, leaving him to have stayed for 114 days with over 18 matches at the helm, do you think he stayed enough, or he didn't allow him to perhaps do
I
what he
mean,
wanted for?
Sean Dyke got what he had coming. I remember him going to I can't remember the name of that podcast now, saying all sort of things about Ruben Amorim that he needs to come into Manchester. And if he comes to the Manchester United, he brings the 4-4-2. He's going to start getting results all of a sudden. Now he couldn't get it with Nottingham Forest. So people talk, people just talk, and then at times they can't just walk the talk. You know, I mean, he's a good manager, brilliant manager, no doubt. He's primarily proven he can grind results. He can, but he's not that man. I mean, Nottingham Forest, they've stated good things, which is almost the same set of players. So now the owner knows that now these players, you can call them average, you can call them this and that, but these are the same players that got European football last season. So
Mm.
something has changed all of a sudden.
I
Something
think
has
that
changed.
the management is also very, because I pity these players really. How can you have interfaced with three different managers, now the fourth coming, right? In one season, all with three. In fact, Sean Dyche is the worst manager to bring in to a Nottingham Forest team that were playing exciting football. Because this man is like
Yeah,
Mourinho light,
he
something
just
like that.
tries to get the result. Yes,
That's all. There's nothing
pragmatic.
interesting about Sean Dyche. Yeah, he's a very pragmatic coach. I really pity for these players because I mean, how do you expect them to perform if three coaches have told them do this, and the next one say do this, and the next one say do that?
But then
So
again, yes, there's that part where you begin to empathize with the players. But then again, I personally feel like the reason why Nottingham Forest are where they are now is because of the owner. Because
Mhm.
tell me, if Espirito Santo, yes, say what you want about what he's currently doing at West Ham. By the way, he has taken them, he has been able to grind a couple of results since he got there,
Mhm.
given that he didn't even start the season with them and they were in a terrible position. That is besides the point. But the
Graham
main thing
Potter
now is
wanted
that
to finish them.
exactly, and then you see the likes of Bowen flying, you see Somerville having the best time of his career, and
Yes,
then a lot of
yes.
other players
So
coming to
take take
the field as well.
take West Ham as a case study. When they had Graham Potter, imagine if they had stayed with him,
No, they should.
they would have already been condemned to relegation. So at times, as an owner, you need to just realize your mistake. That
Also,
okay,
Graham Potter's appointment at West Ham was a complete mistake, and it was unnecessary. It was not needed. The sort of support that it got at Brighton, West Ham were not going to offer that kind of support. West Ham were never going
Exactly.
out to buy you this
but
talent. They
regardless,
were not. So,
regardless,
But then again,
regardless,
now
regardless, is it
let's
not the
take it
same
home.
player? Is it not Wan-Bissaka is there?
Let's take
We
it
know the
home
quality
to
of Wan-Bissaka.
Nottingham Forest.
Bowen is there. We know the quality of Bowen. Shushek is there. We know
Okay,
the quality of
I
Shushek.
mean they are
Adam
grinding results.
Traore. We know the quality of these players.
I'm not taking
there's the
that away
player,
from
there's the
you, right?
coach.
Yeah, so if he didn't they didn't they. If he didn't they didn't they. What I can agree with Brand in saying that sacking Nuno in the first place was a
It
bad
was the
idea.
biggest. Was yes,
Because
it
Yeah,
if
was.
you look
was
at
a
the
bad idea.
performance on the pitch,
But
because
now that
we
he
are
has tried,
discussing his performance on the pitch.
yeah,
Now, his performance on the pitch with that team was good. There was really
Mhm.
no issues. In fact, they were not in a relegation
I
battle
think
whatsoever.
they were over performers actually.
yeah, for
Exactly
their
on
level.
the
Yes.
pitch. Now, the
Mhm.
reason why Espirito was sacked was
They
because
missed out on
of a
Champions League or
feud
something like that.
between him. Yeah, that time when they narrowly, missed out when I
Mhm.
think they drew that match.
They drew.
Marinakis came on the pitch. He was so angry. The
Yeah,
picture,
yeah.
the news was all over the internet. So that was when the feud started. And then Espirito was more or less wanting to have the freedom to do what he knows how to do as a coach.
Mhm.
So the clash between them was not because of performance on the pitch. It was off the pitch, more or less ego, the ego between you don't talk to me like that, I'm your owner, all those type of things. Those were the reasons why Nuno was sacked. And ever since then, Nottingham Forest has not recovered. And it's also very important that as owners, as much as we want that new manager bounce and then they tend to sack coaches that are underperforming, right? Which is fair in my take. But then again, you have to realize that when you have a good one at hand, no matter what happens, you have to hold that one. You have to keep him because the manager market right now is a mess. You can hardly find a brilliant manager that is equally pragmatic on the pitch, uses his player, especially with the number of games players are currently playing. A coach that is able to manage all of these things. And now that we have social media everywhere, where if you say one thing, all the blogs, all the newspaper, you will begin to headline it. So when you have a coach that gives you when you combine all of these factors and gives you results on the pitch, you should hold that coach tight. Because if you let that coach go, it will take a while for you to recover from sacking that coach. And that's exactly what Nottingham Forest is currently experiencing. So you see the manager move from here to there. And really, to be honest, we do not have brilliant managers currently on the market as we used to some 1-2 decades ago. So yeah, Marinakis is basically suffering for that action that he took.
I mean,
I agree. I can
it's
agree. I can agree on that. But now that he has made that mistake, what should he do? He can't be
yeah.
hoping that
I hope they
he
don't
needs to
relegate
quickly
from
rectify.
that
He needs to
mistake.
quickly. He needs to quickly try it as much as possible to rectify it as soon
Of
as
course,
possible.
I think
Of
that's what he's
course.
trying to do.
That's what he's
But
trying
Now
to do.
the hope is that
it's
we don't really.
He has already made a mistake. Agreed.
mhm,
Now
mhm.
he's trying to rectify that mistake.
Okay.
So now he has
I
gone
hope that they don't
for
relegate from
and
this.
and let's not and to be honest, we also have to give it to the manager. It was not like okay when Nuno left, he went for a mediocre manager. No, he went for a manager that wins every second season,
But
every
did
second
not
time.
had a terrible
But
first season at Tottenham.
exactly, but he went for in his own right a maybe semi world class manager in that sense. At least a manager that has tasted trophy. So it wasn't like he was going to. It wasn't like he was just going to hand over Nottingham Forest to a mediocre manager. It just didn't work out. So at times it happens that it's just the ideas just don't work out. Like maybe the quality of players that you have, they can't execute that idea perfectly. And
I
he
mean,
quickly tried to rectify that situation by going for a pragmatic one that
which
can
is
grind out results. And
Not
now
this,
it's
not at
and
this
now
time
is
of the
that's
season at
also not
all.
working. So I think he loves the club. I have to give him that.
I
He loves
agree.
the club and he quickly
I
wants to
agree.
just give the fans something like other than relegating. Because if
Mhm,
Tottenham had done that earlier, they wouldn't be where they are right now. And to be honest, if
mhm.
Man U did not sack Amorim, we will
We
be
would not
battling
be where we
relegation
are
too.
right
We will be battling relegation too.
now. I
Mhm,
agree.
mhm, mhm.
I agree.
I agree with you. I saw an interview yesterday from this podcast with Carragher and the likes. I think it's called The Overlap, and
Yeah, yeah.
it
Yeah,
was
that was
Ange
the same one
Postecoglou. Yeah,
that Shandai
it
went to that
was
time.
it was it was Ange Postecoglou saying a couple of things about Tottenham. We will speak about Tottenham now, but I just wanted to take some excerpts from that interview. By the way, I'm waiting for what he will say about Nottingham Forest because his claims during this interview is that it is something that we already know. It's vox populi that Tottenham are a very terrible club, especially under Daniel Levy before he sold the club over. Uh, they brought in Thomas Frank in 2025 during the summer, and I mean they had some very good games at the very start, and we thought Tottenham are back and all of that. All of their players were fit. This fitness issue was also something that affected Ange Postecoglou. At some point, he had 11, 12 players injured. So there was practically nothing they could do. During that interview, he was saying that the sacking of Frank was fair because results were horrible. He mentioned the fact that Tottenham are, in quotes, they are not a big team, and also that they don't have the pull power in the transfer market. He mentioned that he wanted Brian Mbeumo, he wanted what other players?
Semenyo,
Oh, sorry. He wanted
Goi,
Semenyo, Gray, but they could not get any of those players for him because they had a certain wage structure and all of that. Tottenham for the longest time have been honestly, I don't know how they finished fourth in the Champions League. Now they've sacked Thomas Frank. Who are they bringing in and what is next for them, Chola?
I mean, if you ask a Tottenham fan, just like the United the fan base too. I was reading their Reddit the other day, and they're also divided. Should they stick with
Mm,
Thomas Frank? It's not his fault. His players are not available, missing players, injured players, or should they sack him? So that divided opinion, even among the fan base. Uh in my opinion, it's just better that they let him go. You know,
mm,
because considering that even Thomas Frank, although a fantastic manager by the way, He was with Brentford, like not like
Brentford, yeah.
Brentford who had done anything spectacular in the league other than just to cause a few upsets here and there and to establish
But
themselves as that
just to add,
mid.
Brentford were a very good attacking side when he was there. He had Wisa and they had Mbromo. And with
Of
Tottenham,
course,
they are
and they
struggling
beat
for goals.
United. They beat United multiple
Hmm.
times too. It's always like
They gave Chelsea
it's,
big problems, serious ones.
yeah, it's always like stress, like just playing
They were always a
Brent.
bone in the neck for any big
Hmm.
team, especially.
Yes,
Hmm.
yes, yes. So no doubt about that. But what I'm just saying is like speaking to um
Territory.
Ange's comment. Jose Mourinho, Conte, all of them said similar things. That this
Same thing.
Tottenham, like, it was almost as though they could not even complain. Like, why would you even sack a Mourinho when you have a final? Just go and
Like
give that final
that.
to to a reserve coach. Why? Why would you do that? I mean, let him play the final and then you can sack him. Why?
Hmm.
Like,
Hmm.
why do that?
Man, you did that when we sacked
And what did
the
Mourinho even do
Dutch
that time?
manager.
I think it was just like he spoke against the Super League
It was a
thing.
yeah, yeah.
That was it. And that Super League even today is non-existent. Like Real Madrid,
Real Madrid was the
they
last
How
team
pulled
can,
to
how
out.
do
can,
that. They recently came to an agreement with UEFA that they will no
Yeah,
longer push the Super League things.
you
So
have
that's
season
had how can a club like Tottenham have had Mourinho, have had Conte,
Conte,
and
and they are still were
couldn't win
win.
anything? Only they were
Yeah,
just I would say that they
they
were
were
fortunate
fortunate.
that
It
Manchester
was because of
United were a
Amorim.
terrible team.
It was because we
Yes.
had Amorim.
Manchester United
If it
were a
was
terrible
Michael
team.
Carrick, there was no way. There was no way
Or
that they
any
are
other
winning that
manager.
Europa
How
League.
would Tottenham
Yeah,
beat you in a final?
and it was
How?
even a fluke goal. It was even a fluke
yeah.
goal that they scored in that final, and just they
It's
capitalized
yeah,
on it.
yeah. Brown, you want to
So
say?
they all can't. Oh, they all
No,
can't
go
be
ahead, go
I
ahead.
wrong. So what I'm just trying to say is that they all can't be wrong. There is something structurally wrong in Tottenham. I mean, the fact that you had one of the best players in the world in Harry Kane
Mm-hmm,
and even
mm-hmm.
Son at the time together,
Gareth Bale, Son.
and you could not conjure something with that union, with that partnership, like challenging for that says like a lot. The best manager they've had was Pochettino, and they sack. Why did they even sack Pochettino for crying out loud? Like the
He
manager
was
that.
not bringing results. No trophies.
No
So,
trophies.
And the one that won them trophy, they sacked him.
by the way, this weight structure thing, just to quickly touch upon it before I hit the mic, this weight structure thing is going to wreck so many. I think Chelsea too, they've started that weight structure stuff.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I guess that was why Osimhen could not join because
Yeah,
they've already capped the weight and stuff like that. It doesn't just make sense. It doesn't make sense. Like it's better you live like a clause, like except the player is this and that and that and that and can give immediate. Just have that clause around it so that it doesn't seem like injustice or unfair to the rest of the
yeah,
players.
yeah.
So that when the players also know the person that is coming, they know that, oh yes, you probably deserve this kind of wage and stuff like that. But pegging agents will not offer you the players. They
Wait,
will
the
not.
players even
It's,
tell each other how much they earn.
it's
It's
public
public
now.
knowledge.
Is it not public?
Public
It's public
knowledge.
knowledge. It's public salary. You see it in their contracts.
Maybe except
Maybe except some few
some.
bonuses
Yeah,
or
yeah.
that are not disclosed.
Maybe that.
Is
But
and there is no way that you will
salaries.
see. There is no way Maguire will want to go to Liverpool because Liverpool too has that stupid wage
That
structure
which
thing.
I was
That
almost
think
there
that
before that transfer was pulled,
I think it
man.
was a good thing that it was a good thing that the coach put. See where he is
pulled
today.
him out. So look at where he is. Look at how much they gave him. They gave him like 300,000
He
pounds.
walked straight into that city team, straight.
Yes, and he walked straight into the team. No
Mhm,
Konate benching you, no Van Dijk benching you. Walked straight
mhm,
into the team.
mhm.
So, and I think he was collecting 50,000. No, is it Mateta that is collecting 50,000? And Gagwe is
Arteta,
well.
Arteta.
Yeah. Just imagine Mateta collecting 50,000. Like, it's almost ridiculous. It's
And it's
ridiculous, isn't
safe
it
because
not?
Mateta is almost 30 by the
He's
summer.
almost 30, and the thing is, he's almost like in his prime. Imagine you're in your
Mhm.
prime and you're like delivering in a
And
way,
they're offering you 50K.
and they're off 50K. You'll be like, you'll be like, how long do I have more in my playing career for me to be earning 50K? You
Okay.
quickly want you quickly
Brown,
want to go
Brown, go
to a
ahead with
place.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Tottenham.
the old Ange comment, right? At just the other day, I didn't it didn't come as a surprise to me, to be honest. He said something about Tottenham not being a big club, right? And
Mhm.
before that, he did mention that Tottenham Hotspur, when you get to Tottenham, Of course, they have all the beautiful stadium, beautiful training center, and all of that. When you get to Tottenham, what you see is um,
So there is to
dream
do.
it, dream it, go after it, dream it, go after it, stuff like that. But the unfortunate thing is that that's not what the
That's not what they're
supposed
doing.
board is doing. That's not what they are doing. Because now, according to him, in his first season, he finished fifth, right? Now, because he finished fifth, unfortunately, they didn't qualify for the Champions League. But he said to himself, and if you remember well, when Ange came, I think he won his first 5 games. There was a time he was topping the table for about nearly 2 months in his first season at Spurs.
Uh-huh.
Everybody took cognizance. Everybody was like, "Omo, shey this new guy like
But
this no come
it-
tear
it-
this Premier
I
League
think what destroyed him was that eye line too.
with Spurs, right?"
Mhm.
Get it? So now, at the end of the day, of course, he had injuries here and there. The high line, the style of play and everything put together.
Mhm.
But at the end of the season, they finished fifth. When they finished fifth, according to him, he said, of course, I'm paraphrasing. He said that when he saw that they had finished fifth, he was thinking to himself, okay, what do we now do
What do we
to
do
go
next?
up the table to begin to challenge? Because if we can finish fifth, of course, we can go a step further and begin to be
Mhm.
serious contenders for the Premier League title. And then he went to his board that he needs Premier League proven players like Mbuemo, the likes of what's
Semenyo,
his name, Semenyo, even McGay that is
McGay,
currently playing for
Manchester
Manchester
City.
City. But what did the board tell him? They instead they got him Solanke. Of course, no disrespect to Dominic Solanke, right? For Brentford, for sorry, Bournemouth is a good player, and I think when Tottenham poached him at the time, he was the top scorer for the Bournemouth team. But then again, coming to Tottenham, moving one step forward, how do we go there? Instead, at the end of the day, what did they do? They gave him Solanke and, according to him, two young players, brilliant in their own respect. But how do you now move from there to the top spot? It's almost impossible. And then, to be honest, if you look at that Tottenham squad, how many players can you say cost about 100 million? They don't bring out money to buy players. They don't spend on players. Talk about the wage structure all you want. But do you really release the funds to buy players? If you go to Arsenal today, they have 100 million player in Declan Rice that is an outstanding player as well. Take nothing away from the other DMs, but he's one of the very best in the Premier League. You go to Chelsea, Caicedo is like, if Caicedo is not in that Chelsea squad, you will feel
Uh,
it.
Enzo and Caicedo are about 200 million.
Exactly. So Caicedo, if the absence of Caicedo is noticeable any day, anytime. So when you look at Tottenham, who do they bring? Who do they buy? In fact, talk about the Romero situation that he recently was, bashing the board for not going hard in the transfer market. And of course, he was trying to leave for Atletico Madrid, but the club didn't allow that go through. But at the end of the day, when you put all of these components together, you realize that indeed Tottenham is not really a big team, because the ambitions of the club is not that wants to win trophies. The fact that they even won against Manchester United, it is now clearer to us that the reason they won that game was Amorim.
There's
Amorim
Amorim.
was the problem, because if he had played players in their positions, there is no way these guys would have won against Manchester United with such mediocre performance in that finals. In fact, that was the laziest finals I've ever watched as a football fan. So yes, I'm saying whatever he says, Tottenham is not a big team. Now, coming to Thomas Frank, I personally think that the sacking of Thomas Frank, not only should it have happened earlier, Thomas Frank is not just big enough for the job. The job from the get go seemed like it was always going to be bigger than him. And Thomas Frank was on top of his league. So Thomas Frank should not even have stayed for as long as he did. Mind you, before Newcastle went to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium to win against Tottenham, Newcastle had not had a single win in their last 5 games. Not a single win. And then You look at them going away to Spurs. And to make matters worse, Spurs' home performance is the worst in the league so far. Worst in the league. Of course, when you take away the bottom three teams. So when you begin to imagine all of these things, actually, they are going to be fighting for relegation because they are only 3 points away from going, they're only 5 points away from going down. So there's a high possibility that they are currently fighting relegation. And in some quarters, some Tottenham fans would say, if this will cause a rejig, a reset, then so be it. And if their former CEO had not left, all of the
Daniel
blame
Levy.
should have
I've been
gone to
blaming him.
Daniel.
I've been on him.
Because Daniel Levy has now gone, it is now obvious. And you know the funny part? When Daniel Levy was in charge, yes, they were able to do good business here and there with the likes of Modric and whatnot, Gareth Bale and what have you. Now, when Daniel Levy left, even at then, we were still complaining that Tottenham was not a big team in terms of challenging proper, for titles, right? But of course, they were in the top six and they were, performing and all that. Now, when Daniel Levy left, do you know who took over from Daniel Levy? The second in command. So now tell me, if you are telling me
Same
that
ideology.
the first in command is not good enough, what makes you not think that his subordinate will be better? And then you are expecting magic to happen. I'm not even surprised that they are where they are because with the way they performed last season and with the way Manchester United performed this last season as well, if we had not made some drastic decisions, we still would probably have been in the same position. But then again, Tottenham, it's just a shame. It's just a shame. And I feel sorry for Tottenham's fans, to be honest. I feel sorry for
Yeah,
them.
yeah, absolutely. Next question now is who is next? I'll just reel out some names. There is Nuno Espirito Santo at West Ham. He's grinding results, not enough, and I'm sure that the pressure is also mounting on him to get them out of that relegation battle and all that. You only need 40 points. Maybe if they win the next 3, 4 games, they're fine. But will they? And there's Anna Slot who said something about this same situation happened in quotes now. I'm paraphrasing. This same situation happened with Jurgen Klopp, but his job was not at risk. A lot of Liverpool fans have found that comment very disrespectful of Jurgen Klopp, who happens to now be a very important part of their history. Who is the next manager to be sacked? What do you think, Shola?
I mean, Arne Slot, the only reason why he's still in that job is because he won the Premier League for them. And let's not forget that
Mm.
it took them a lot of years to win the Premier League. The one that Jurgen Klopp won for them. So the reason why he's still in the job is because he won them, and he's also able to grind like a few results, year and year. Champions League, doing well at times, even to beat Sunderland at home. That was a good one. Regardless, we have to give him that. But now, I think if he's going to get sacked, it's because now he's been started talking too much now. He started
Yeah,
disrespecting
saying
the
too much.
club, saying too much. I don't know. It's like
He's talking too much.
something. Yeah, the club they've they've stood by you up to now. Why disrespect the club? I said he made a comment like a club that won Premier League in 30 years. I wanted to like those comments like were just like disrespectful and unnecessary.
I think that guy is probably high. You are the only manager in this world that has spent
Yeah,
450 million pounds or
for
whatever
just to be
in one window.
battling the same position with Brentford.
In one window.
So yeah. So, but yeah, so if he's going to get sacked, I think it's because of his words, not necessarily because even of his performance on the pitch, which by Liverpool standard now is horrible, by the way. So he's going to go next. Nuno, I think Nuno will keep his job. Even if he gets relegated, he will keep his job, except maybe another Premier League club comes for him. Right. Uh, mm, I think that's about it, though. All of them, I see them keeping their job in a way. They will go to the relegation and go and be battling it out. And a slot is probably the only one I see getting sacked among all of them, honestly, because of the standard of
Bruh.
Liverpool.
I mean, see, like you mentioned, it's disgraceful that Anislot comes out and says the things he says because Anislot is actually shading Liverpool fans.
Yeah, why would you do that?
Because the kind of things he says are things that rival opposition fans, haters of Liverpool will be saying. making comparison with yourself to a manager that has won literally everything in the game for Liverpool, picking them up from a position where they were literally nothing, right? Nobody really, really recognized them at the time. But this manager came, they didn't spend as much, and then taking them to where they were, and then left, only for you to come and turn them to such mediocre teams. In fact, Liverpool is the team with the worst title defense record in the Premier League. Because tell me a team that won the Premier League the previous season, in the new season, from day one, they started struggling.
More than
They
halfway,
started
and they only have
struggling
42 points.
because even that first game that they won by 4 goals to 2, if you remember well, at the beginning of the season, in August, the last 2 goals that they scored, because they were 2 goal up. Bournemouth came from 2 goals down to 2-2, and then eventually struggling. Then they got that eventual win. But at the end of the day, but then when we spoke about it, Liverpool fans were like, "Forget about it. 3 points is the goal. As long as you get 3 points, don't worry, forget about it." And I said something that this will come back to bite Liverpool later on. And that's exactly what is happening. Now, for your incumbent manager to be making comparison with a manager that you
Mhm.
actually won your
Won them the
so-called
Champions
title,
League, won them the
players,
Premier League.
the title that you are claiming you won the season before, they
Same,
were his
same
players.
here.
And let me say this for the records. And his slot spent 450 million in one season, one window. Jurgen Klopp spent
No, no, no,
84
something
million,
in six
800
years.
and so thereabout in 6 years.
Mhm.
6 years. And guess how many players he bought with that amount? 31 players in those 6 years. Amongst those 31 players were the players you won your so-called Premier League with, and you have the
Mhm.
temerity to sit and begin to say rubbish. Now, and his slot is the next manager to be sacked. When you talk about Espirito Santo, I mean, there is nothing else that West Ham is going
West
to do
Ham.
from here, right? Because Espirito Santo was brought in to help them survive. And from the looks
Mhm.
of things, even though a couple of results may not have gone their way, especially the one against Manchester United, if not for the brilliance of Benjamin
Also
Sesko,
against Chelsea. They
exactly,
almost drew that
who would
game.
have secured. So, in spite of those, and you see improvement in their performance as well,
They
right?
won three in the last five, drawn one and
Exactly.
lost one.
So, like I said, you see Somerville having the game of his life and all that. So you see improvement in their performances, and as a result, they are beginning to grind out points, and that is currently why they are sitting just 3 points behind and the so-called Nottingham Forest. So I personally do not think they are going to sack Espirito Santo. Now, when you talk about the current Wolves coach, is he going to be sacked? I feel like the fact that they are giving him up until now, they were already poor before they gave him the job.
But and
They
the
have
name of the
already
guy is
settled.
Rob Edwards. I said like Vitor Pereira
Exactly.
to
So,
yeah.
so before now, they were already poor. They were already in the relegation battle. So giving him that opportunity to take the team is not really to keep them up. Of course, they have gone before, they returned. They are okay with going. What they are preparing for is not just going, but being able to return back immediately. So they are giving the manager the opportunity to perhaps understand his team better and then see where it leads from there. But I don't personally think he's going to lose his job. But you see this and his slot. I've said it before that and his slot is using voodoo on that Liverpool board. And if I were to be a Liverpool shareholder, I will begin to sell my shares. When they sell an slot, when they sack an slot, I come back because your stock is going to drop. Do you know what it will mean for the
The financial
financial
decision.
implications of Liverpool
Mm-hmm.
not to
Mm-hmm.
qualify for the Champions League? Do you know what that would mean? You are playing and the slot is going to run them down, and until they realize it, me, what is my business? Shebi, I will be here shining my 32, laughing at them, because you see that in the slot, all these current managers, all they know is talk. Go to the pitch and walk the walk. You have not done nothing,
Mm-hmm.
and then you come,
Mm-hmm.
you talk. Because tell me how you are going to spend more than half of what Jurgen Klopp spent in 6 years. with
Mm-hmm.
the multitude of trophies that he won, and you have
And
won only
you're here
one
comparing yourself to
Premier League
him.
with his players, and you are
Mm-hmm.
comparing yourself to him. Liverpool, we are here for the ride, and trust me, my 32 will be shining.
I agree with you. When the next sack letter drops, we'll be here to discuss it. What do you think, viewers? Do you think that who do you think will be the next manager tips? Do you think it's Anna Slot? Do you think it's Rob Edwards? Or perhaps Tottenham
The
will
car.
sack the interim again? Or like, maybe that might be correct. Perhaps Tottenham will go ahead and sack the interim again. Who knows? But yeah, that'll be all from us today. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and let's know your thoughts in the comment section. See you on the next one. Ciao.